Welcome to Mondello Park for a new era in motorcycle racing here in Ireland. In this, the first of 8 programmes covering the Adelaide Masters series, we're jumping straight in with the Superbikes. So let's meet the men and a woman who are here to entertain us.
This one is very fast. It's 204 brake horsepower and the torque level is really high as well. It's around 90 foot-pounds for that weight of bike. It's really fast. Yeah. The first race is going to be fairly hairy. It's very wet, but this afternoon's going to clear up. Hopefully, it's going to be a great day and bring on some good racing. And hopefully, I want to be on the top step of the podium. That's where we deserve to be, and we're going to hopefully be there.
Kirk Jamieson is on a 1000cc BMW.
It's a good bit of kit. Early in the year yet to have it going so well. Yesterday getting a podium, so we're well chuffed, you know. The BM makes power from so far down low. It's just around here we're using 3 gears and it's a lot quicker in straight line and it seems to handle better as well. It's also comes standard with quick shifters and traction control, which is kind of handy too.
The sensational superbikes. But what is a superbike? It must have a standard frame and look like a road bike, but that's where the similarity ends. It can be a 1000cc across the frame like this bike or a 1200cc twin. These monsters are pushing out about 210 horsepower. Suzuki's, Hondas and these BMWs with their quick shifters are all very much sought after superbikes, but this V4 Aprilia, which is actually a super stock machine, will be taking them on this weekend. Marshall Neal, the Irish Superbike and Masters champion, is riding one of these this weekend, so the Superbikers better watch out.
I don't really come to try and make up the numbers. I'm here to get a result, and that's it. I'm getting too long on a tooth now to mess about at the back.
Dubliner Mark Pollock is on pole in the KP Suzuki for the 3rd Superbike race of the weekend. Marshall Neal from Portadown is alongside in the Aprilia, and Kirk Jamieson from Grey Abbey is on the Angus Contracts BMW.
So Superbike time at Mondello Park now. 10 laps of the 1.24 mile national circuit, and Jim, we're missing somebody from the front row.
It looks like it's Brian McCormick on the big Honda Leo that's gone missing.
Such a shame. We expected him to go well. He was on the outside of the front row, inside of the front row I should say. We still got some big names in the front of this one, Jim.
Yeah, Mark Pollock, the man with a lot to prove here, so it's Marshall Neal off the line, I think.
It's very, very close. It looks like Pollock has it, but Neal with a big look down the inside, but Pollock's so late on the brakes and just manages to hold him off down into turn 1. Yeah, Robert Kennedy there on the black bike with the green flash on it there at turn 2. Very distinctive. He was very late on the brakes and down the outside, boxed out just a little bit. Marshall Neal wasn't going to let him in there. He's in second and he's already all over the back of Pollock now.
Yeah, Pollock on the green and red Suzuki, trying really hard to break the field at this early stage, but he's got a tough job to break Marshall Neal.
Yeah, Neal with a great run out of Bridgestone corner, and this is his trademark move at Mondello Park, down the inside into that off-camber corner, Mazda corner, and just slots it down the front, and that's just a classy manoeuvre.
Yeah, Mark Pollock should have learned from earlier on in the weekend that Marshall Neal passes everybody in Mondello Park there and never blocked at all, so Marshall Neal swiftly through on Mark Pollock.
Yeah, great move from Marshall Neal, beginning to pull away with a great run out of Dunlop corner. The bikes really use all the traction and almost have to turn back to the left there, Jim, when they come out of Dunlop.
Coming on to the start finish, they're given full power. The bike wants to turn right, so you have to sort of counter steer to the left with your full body weight to keep it going in a straight line. Tough place to ride a superbike.
Really does look like they have to work hard coming out of there. Great battles there. There's Jemison and the BMW, and we've spoken with this machine before. Very, very hard to get off the line, but incredibly quick. And of course, he's well able to ride it. He's got huge potential once he gets up and going. But look at this again. He's in traffic, and the first 2 beginning to pull away.
Kirk Jamieson's really going to have to pull the pin, Leo. He's going to get a short distance in Mondello Park to get to the front of this field, and it's really going to be difficult from the position he's in now.
Yeah, it must be frustrating for him. It's great to watch him. I mean, he just can't get that machine off the line, and then he's got great racecraft. He's very, very aggressive, and the bike is really, really quick. But as we said, he's stuck in traffic, but he's going to have a go here, and it looks like he's going to have a go down the inside of Kennedy here. He does, very late on the brakes. Big wobble of the back wheel, but gets it up the inside. That's a nice move.
That's a fantastic manoeuvre in Mondello Park. Inside on Dunlop turn, he just dived the inside of Robert Kennedy and used the power of the BMW down the straight.
Yeah, managed to carry speed on the way out. It's very easy to dive down the inside of Dunlop corner, run wide on the exit. We've seen it many times in bikes, but he did that to perfection. And Shields next on his shopping list now.
These two are former Irish champions, so both of them are really quick riders and know all the way around Mondello, so this is going to be an interesting battle.
Really is, but Jameson, as he says, only using 3 gears around here. The bike not geared correctly for Mondello Park National Circuit, and again, perhaps that's why it's taking its time to get up to speed, and then it's really, really quick towards the end of the main straight.
If he's using more gears, Leo, the bike is wheeling more, and when he's wheeling he's losing time, so he's had to gear it for 3 gears. It's got a lot of torque, so he's really going to struggle, I think, this weekend.
Looks like he's getting into his stride a little bit there. He dispatched Kennedy beautifully, and he's looking to do the same here at Shields up the Dunlop corner. But Shields couldn't lay to the brakes, and he's even giving a little weave there as we get a change of position there.
Yeah, it's Mark Johnson just diving up the inside of Robert Kennedy. So Robert Kennedy slipping back down the leaderboard.
Back to the leaders now. Marshall Neal turning in very early. Bike's still moving around. Surely the tyres should be up to temperature now, Jim.
They are indeed, Leo, and it looks like Robert Kennedy, the black and green bike, has a few technical issues. He's shaking the head and he's pulling over to one side. So Robert Kennedy on the CBR 1000 looks like he's out of this one.
Yeah, just went wide on the exit there. Great battle here as Shields tries so hard to fight off Jameson now. But Jameson, as we said, had loads of pace. He just picked off Kennedy, but Shields not so easy for him.
No, these, as I said, are both Irish champions at some stage in their career. Very quick riders, so a lot of foxing and a lot of sort of wheel showing going on here.
Well, the body language of BMW would suggest that Jameson perhaps not so confident on it just yet.
No, he's only recently acquired this machine. It's Keith Moore's old bike from last year. Kirk, fantastically turned out job with the paint, blue and white paint job. He's only getting used to it, so it'll take him a little meeting or two to come to grips fully with it.
Well, that'll be interesting to see as the season goes on, because he's certainly not afraid of it. He's been great to watch. Has he got to run down the inside? I think he has.
He has indeed, and two guys nearly collide on the start-finish straight also.
He does, makes that stick down the inside nice and late in the brakes, and again, class act, doesn't run wide, and I think that's probably job done.
Yeah, he's actually pulling away already, Leo, so Kirk has been held up by Derek Shields there, so Kirk Jameson, the man on the move at the moment.
Yeah, lap times will begin to tumble now. He's got a clear track ahead, but I think even for him and this machine, it's probably too much to ask to close in on the two leaders out front.
Yeah, Marshall Neal and Mark Pollock have begun to pull away at the front. They've got a 4-second lead at this stage, so that's virtually impossible unless they make a real mess.
Gavin Hunt leading a midfield pack now coming down into Mazda corner. They're all fighting hard there.
Yeah, indeed. Gavin, the Isle of Man resident, made a trip over to the Emerald Isle for this Mondello Masters event. So well done to Gavin Hunt, rounding out the top 5 there.
Yeah, Mark Johnson right with him, and Damien Byrne, the Kilkenny man, in there too, and Alan Bonner at the back of that trail. Great battle going on here between them.
A lot of paint been swapped here, so all the bikes won't be coming in the same colour, that's for certain.
Look how much Jameson in front there has pulled away from Shields. In fact, Shields in danger of falling back into this battle. Mark Johnson having a look down the inside, but doesn't make it stick on that occasion, and Damien Byrne thinking of a look around the outside. Great battle here.
They need to widen the track for these guys because they need 4 abreast.
Oh, and off goes one of them. That looks like Alan Bonner there. A big one at turn 2. The bike just spat him off, Jim.
Yeah, Leo, it looks like he high-sided. He got on the power a little bit early and the bike threw him over the top, so tough luck for Alan there, really. Yeah, red flags are out now, and the officials deciding to stop the race just until they get that cleared up. So a lot of them with it all to do again here, and poor Kirk Jameson, having got up into third place, will probably get swamped here again, Jim. And as predicted, Leo, he's gone in reverse. Yeah, so they're all weaving away coming down to turn 1, but Pollock it is with the best start. Marshall Neal just having a quick look down the inside, but Pollock did it all well, rocketed off the line, and he leads the pack now through Adelaide corner. Yeah, it's Mark Pollock, Marshall Neal, Derek Shields, and the Isle of Man resident Gavin Hunt up to 4th position. So great start from Gavin Hunt there. Yeah, he's the big winner there. Charged up a great first corner and a big run down around the outside for him that time. Marshall Neal now all over the back of Pollock early on in this one. Pollock a little bit wide at the second apex of Bridgestone. That could cost him time. Indeed, it does. Leo, is this a copy of the first start? It looks like a Marshall Neal again. I know it's a trademark move, but twice in one day, twice in one race almost, he's been down the inside of Pollock there. I'm surprised that Pollock leaving the door open there, but Marshall's so committed coming in there. I think he was going through anyway. I think if Mark Pollock had turned in, they were both in the gravel, Leo, at that stage. So a great move by Marshall Neal, though. It really was, and he leads now as they come down to complete lap 1. Pollock right with him, and we know how equally matched they are in terms of pace. And where's Kirk Jameson? He's way, way back. He looks like he's back in about 7th or 8th, but also a great start again from Derek Shields. Derek, former Irish champion, mostly spends most of the time racing on the roads at the moment, but a great run in 3rd position so far. Yeah, he's got plenty of pace, and he's hanging on to the lead pair. In fact, that's Jameson back there in about 4th or 5th place, I think. So he is still there or thereabouts, and again, it'll be interesting to see if he can fight his way back up on the blue and white BMW. Yeah, it's the 2 BMWs together there, Leo. The black and green one of Gavin Hunt and the blue and white one of Kirk Jameson battling it out, and Kirk Jameson gets the better of Gavin Hunt at the end of the start-finish. That was last of the late breakers. They both had to almost stop there as they went down into turn 1. So Jameson riding beautifully. His initial starts are killing him today, but after that, absolutely flying. If this man could get off the line, he'd definitely be at the front of all the fields. Yeah, there's the last lap flag now, so just 1.24 miles to go at this battle up front, and Marshall Neal with Pollock all over him now in the closing stages. Marshall Neal definitely with a point to prove. Marshall's bike is in 2nd position. Marshall won last year on this bike that Mark Pollock's riding, so
maybe the old girl wants to get to the front again.
And Marshall looks like he's on the limit there. He's lifting wheels, the back end of the bike moving around on the brakes, and again when he feeds in the power. So he really wants this one. Look at this, Jemison again on a charge. Great stuff from him.
Yeah, and Derek Shields under huge pressure from Jemison. Jemison on the blue and white BMW. A fantastic turned out machine. Absolutely top professional machine. And a great ride from Kirk.
Just a couple of corners still to go now, and it's Marshall Neal, the Mondello man, a real wily expert here, leading this one. Pollock still right with him. There's Paul Swords on the Gulf machine, and the midfield pack there's somebody off there, and that's Noel Brennan from Swords, just getting on the power a little bit too early, Jim.
Yeah, he got thrown over the high side there, Leo, and he limps off to think about what he's done wrong.
Last lap, last corner. Marshall Neal very defensive, and is that going to allow Pollock to get a run at him on the way to the line? Not quite. Both getting on the power. The back squirming around a drag race to the line, but Marshall Neal takes it from Pollock only just.
And rounding out the top 5 is Derek Shields, Kirk Jamieson, and the Isle of Man resident Gavin Hunt.
The way Aprilia just got it in Friday, and I'm just chuffed the way things going, and couldn't ask for any more out of the wee bike today there. I've learnt a lot during that race because it had to push so much harder on it. I've learnt more about that bike during that race, and I'm well pleased with it.
Mighty stuff, and what a start to the new season. But the story is far from over, as our Superbike riders have to do it all again in race 2 after the break. See you then. Welcome back to the Adelaide Masters Series. We've seen the Superbikes, but now in the Leinster 200 they have to take on the Supersport 600s. So sit up as the riders zip up for race 2.
It's the grand finale of the opening meeting of the Adelaide Masters Series with a Superbike and Supersport 600 shootout. Marshall Neal is on pole on the V4 Aprilia with his fellow Northern rider Kirk Jamieson alongside him on the BMW. Arch-rival Mark Pollock is on the Suzuki, and Robert Kennedy on the Honda completes the front row. On the outside of the second row, it's Dubliner Jack Kennedy in his Yamaha Supersport 600.
So this is the big one, the Adelaide Masters final, Jim. Forget sandbagging, this is the dash for cash.
Yes, Leo, 12 laps and a big check at the end of it for some lucky recipient.
On board now with Jordan Bonner. Great soundtrack there. You can hear him just clicking that bike into gear and getting ready to go. Loads of revs there. They slipped the clutch quite a lot off the line here, Jim.
Yeah, the gearing, Leo, is quite tall, so a lot of clutch slip.
Away goes Marshall Neal from pole position. Good start from him being challenged. Nobody making a bad start really, bar Jemison again, but down they come into turn 1, and Marshall Neal it is. You can see the check already, perhaps it's the checkered flag.
It is indeed, and a great start there also by Robert Kennedy on the black and green Honda CBR 1000. So Robert Kennedy up in the second position already.
On board with Bonner, you can see how tentative they have to be here on the throttle, Jim, on cold tyres.
It's a tough choice, Leo. Cold tyres and left-hand bend and Mondello. You want to give it at least 4 laps to get the tyre up to temperature.
It checks out a brave run around the outside of the first apex of Bridgestone there, so really having a go in the early stages, right in the middle of the pack there, Bonner. Here comes Marshall Neal, and the rest all coming down into Mazda corner, the off-camber left-hander now.
Yeah, it looks like Marshall Neal's got about a 1 second lead already. A commanding start from Marshall Neal. Maybe he's pulled the pin this early in the race already.
Yeah, hugely experienced. We've seen him before in bike races at Mondello sit back and take his time, but it looks like, as you said, he's going at it early on here. And that's young Jack Kennedy there in the silver bike, very distinctive orange helmet. You can see him there. Tell us a little bit about his bike and how he's doing so well on it.
Yeah, it's a Supersport 600 bike, Leo. It's a 600cc machine. It's about 140 horsepower, but it weighs quite a lot less than all these 1000cc machines. Jack is a world championship rider, or as good as, so he's the class of the field, we'll say here.
Yeah, he really has been impressive this weekend, and as you said, he shouldn't be up there on this bike, but I suppose Mondello, very technical. It's very hairpin city, some people call it, so a lot of work for these riders to do, getting the bike set up. But Pollock now up to second place and immediately beginning to get away, and I wonder is there a chance he can catch Marshall Neal?
Maybe he can, Leo. Mark's a really experienced guy. The bike is really well set up. He's got his Bazaz tuning on it at the moment, and I think he's got really good traction control, so Mark Pollock, a man on the move in this class, I think.
Traction control very important on these machines, and you were explaining earlier it's adjustable mid-race.
It is, Leo, and the guys turn it up as the race goes on. They turn up the traction control to allow for a bit of tyre wear. Even though this is only a 12-lap race, the tyres will be quite near the end of their life after about 8 or 9 laps.
So plenty of work for these guys to do, and again the top bike's twitching around. Marshall Neal going defensive, or he's just taking early apex there down at the turn one. Very unusual line for the leader. Yeah, Leo, he looks like he's playing the defensive rule already, but that's going to cost him a lap times, and it looks like Mark Pollock's really digging into the back of Marshall Neal already. Yeah, you're spot on there. Pollock on a big charge at closing that gap, and it's visual now as they go down into Bridgestone Corner because he's closing right in on the brakes, and Pollock possibly with the upper hand in this one, and Marshall Neal falling back into the clutches. I think we're going to see a challenge for the lead here. Yeah, Mark Pollock on the green and white Suzuki. That's actually Marshall Neal's old bike from last year that he won the championship on, so that bike knows its way around this circuit well. That's one thing Marshall won't want to see, his own old bike right up behind him, catching him. And watch out for young Jack Kennedy, he's still in there again. Remember the orange helmet, very distinctive colours in the background, setting some very quick lap times and hauling in some of the bigger bikes. Yes, and then the guy in third position, a really impressive ride from Derek Shields on the Honda, the white and black Honda CBR 1000. Derek, more of a road racer than a short circuit guy, but a really impressive outing from him also. Marshall Neal with that same early turn in the back of the bike, skipping around on the brakes there. Doesn't look that comfortable, Jim, at this stage. No, Leo, these guys are right on the limit. It's quite cold here today and the tyres are really struggling for grip, so I think the electronics are going to play a big package in today's result. Pollock certainly looks like he's got a lot of pace. He's very confident moving around behind Mark, and again Marshall Neal's bike bucking and weaving as he feeds on the bar, and Pollock's bike looking a lot more settled at this stage. Yeah, Leo, maybe it's maybe the big Suzuki knows where she's going, and it likes to be at the front of the field, and that's probably where it's heading for at the moment. It certainly looks like it. Pollock very confident, even considering a move around the outside of Mazda corner, the off-camber left-hander. That's a brave move. And Marshall Neal goes defensive again and turns in early. Surely this will cost him time on the way out, Jim. That's really hurting Marshall Neal, Leo. I think he's been caught there now by Mark Pollock. So Mark Pollock played the card. He forced Marshall into a defensive position, and he's got the run down the straight on him. Yeah, great move for the lead. And in the background, Jack Kennedy has displaced his namesake, Rob Kennedy. You're watching out for this, Jim. He's on a charge. Yeah, Jack Kennedy, a man on the move. Last weekend was in the World Championship Supersport 600 race at Donington. And today he's pushing to get to the front of the field at the Mondello Park Masters. Back on board again with Bonner, and his bike as well beginning to move around as he banks it over there and just feeding in the power really gently. And turn two nowhere near flat on these machines, Jim. Definitely not, Leo. As I said, the left-hand corner, cold tyres, you're really waiting for the tyre to come to temperature. It's slightly off camber and it's really difficult around here. And of course some of these bikes use slipper clutches. Tell us about them. He's banging down gears there while we're on board with it now. Does this not upset the back end of the bike? The clutch, Leo, works in reverse, so as you let the clutch out as you're changing down the gearbox, it lets the engine rev without locking the back wheel. Okay, great stuff. Back to the leaders now. The battle really started out. In fact, there's going to be a three-way battle here because Marshall Neal really fighting back and having a go back now at Pollock as they come up to Dunlop Corner. Yeah, and Derek Shields is definitely not out with this one as well. Derek on the black and white Honda CBR 1000 is coming back. He's in third position and definitely trying to make a move on Marshall Neal. And right behind him, just look who it is. It's young Jack Kennedy there on the 600 machine, and he's absolutely flying fastest lap now at this stage of the race as he closes in on the leaders. Mistake there for Marshall Neal turning into turn one, Jim. A huge mistake by Marshall Neal. I'm surprised Derek Shields didn't pounce on that opportunity. Marshall lost the back end going into the turn. Derek sort of shut off because I think he thought he was going to crash into him, so Marshall lucky to get away with that one. He was, a little bit of frustration in his ride. That bike perhaps not performing to his liking today. It looked like a handful all the way through this one. Yeah, Leo, they only got the bike on Friday, in fairness to them. It's a V4 Aprilia, the red and white V4 Aprilia. It's a new model. It only arrived from Italy, I think, on the previous Tuesdays, so not a lot of testing, so that's really going to hurt them. That's his own bike is at the front of the field, which has done a whole season's racing. It's been well set up, so with 2 days testing and been second, that's not a bad result. Shields now in trouble because the hard-charging young Jack Kennedy, superb performance. He's come from so far back, and he's caught up on this battle for second and third place now. He's right there in fourth place, Jim.
Yeah, Jack Kennedy, the young Dublin rider, fantastic performance from this guy in the 600 Yamaha. The Appleyard team turn out a fantastic package, and Jack is making the most of it, battling with these guys in the 1000cc machines.
Yeah, he really is. You'd suspected this and forecasted early on, but I didn't expect him to come from so far back initially and battle his way up there. And yet again, this time round, fastest lap. Oh, and a big one again for Marshall Neal. He really doesn't look comfortable here.
Marshall's really struggling with setup, Leo, and it's really hurting him in this event now.
And here's young Jack Kennedy now having a run possibly round the outside. Indeed he does at Mazda corner and makes it work for the second bit of the S's. Now that's impressive stuff, Jim.
That's a fantastic pass, and Derek Shields is no slouch, so to do something like that to Derek Shields around Mondello Park is you're going quick.
Well, he's got to do stuff like that. He's not going to outpace these machines on the main straight, so it's got to be brave moves for him.
Yeah, and Jack Kennedy, no shortage of talent or bravery, so a fantastic manoeuvre there by Jack Kennedy.
Yeah, he really is a class package. Pollock beginning to pull away in front now, and Marshall Neal there in second place, and as you said, just doesn't look too comfortable, and again it's still moving around as he feeds the power on coming out of turn one there. Looks like a handful.
It does indeed, Leo. The bike looks very soft suspension wise. If you look at any of the rest of the machines, they seem to sort of sit on the turns, where Marshall's bike is all the time moving front and rear, so maybe a little setup tweak for later in the year.
Well, it'll have to be later in the year because this is the big cash race and it's not looking too good for him at this stage. Pollock riding beautifully out front. A great move to take the lead. Really worked it up at Dunlop corner, made it stick on the main straight and got away. And maybe he had to get away because young Jack Kennedy is charging up on them.
He is indeed, and Jack Kennedy, actually, Leo's taken the fastest lap of the race so far. So Jack Kennedy on the Appleyard Yamaha 600, fastest man on the circuit at the moment. Obviously, when he's in traffic, he's going to struggle, but he's going to get there near the front.
Great shots again on board with Bonner, and you can see as his tyres have come up the temperature, he's pushing a little bit harder than he was. He was a little bit ginger in the early laps, as you have to be. Now pushing a lot harder as he comes out of the S's and up towards Dunlop corner here, Jim.
Fantastic on-board footage. Back to Mark Pollock here in the lead from Marshall Neal. Mark Pollock really on the move there, Leo.
Well, these are two really good riders, and you just get the feeling they're pushing so hard. Of course, your theory is always that they go a little bit quicker if there's a few quid at the end of the race.
Well, that's definitely the case with Marshall Neal. Show Marshall a check and he'll go 2 seconds a lap faster, so maybe the team leader's got the checkbook out.
But he's done a good job in this one because he's hauled himself back up to Pollock, and Pollock looked very strong in the mid stages of this one. Not so much anymore. That's the last lap flag. 1.24 miles to go now. Who's going to get the money? Because Marshall Neal on a big charge here, Jim.
Mark Pollock under huge pressure here from Marshall Neal, so who's going to melt down in this one?
Yeah, Marshall Neal, a real Mondello man, and not someone you want on your tail in the last lap of a race like this, especially when there's a check at the end of it. Because here they go now. This really is the closing stages of the dash for cash. Pollock trying as hard as he can. Marshall on this machine, which didn't look good at mid-stage, but he's obviously got the hang of it. Still moving around a little bit, but it doesn't look as bad as it did mid-race. Both of the bikes weaving around, Jim. This is really on the limit stuff.
Mark Pollock, what a load he's got on his mind. Marshall Neal, Mondello Park expert. No one quicker around Mondello Park than Marshall Neal. So Mark Pollock, huge boots to fill on this one.
Yeah, here they come to Dunlop for the last time. This is going to be make or break. Is he going to have a go down the inside? He is. A big last top lunge down the inside by Marshall Neal. Pollock doesn't care, just slams the door shut, and it's game over now on the run to the line, Jim.
A fantastic race by Mark Pollock. Marshall Neal in second position, and Jack Kennedy a huge result in third position.
Yeah, I'm delighted to only get a win now. It's been a while, but Marshall was definitely pushing me hard, and I knew I had to get by him earlier on to try and do something. Otherwise, he was very fast in that Aprilia. Yeah, we've put a lot of effort in over the winter and stuff, and Gerald Kingsbury and the boys are going to run me for the year, you know. So see if we can see what we can do. Gerald, they threw me a chance like to ride the bike last year for a couple of races, and this year they gave me a full season. So that's to be the plan. That hopefully we could win the series, you know. So see how it goes.
I hope you enjoyed the Superbikes. There'll be more two-wheeled action from Mondello on the next RPM when we feature the Supersport 600s. Join us then.